Confusion can be overwhelming as much as it is frightening. It's like trying to swim back to shore in a thunderstorm, but there's no land in sight. That's how I would describe the world we live in today. Although it should be said that living in confusing times isn't a new thing. That feeling of the world has been around for a long time, spanning back decades with every new issue chipping away at us. And usually there are people who like to take advantage of confusion by trying to make the world into one they believe is the right one. They think that they have the clear vision that will make everyone happy by making things pure or free from filth. And the thing is, a lot of good intentions can be manipulated by people too hell-bent on making things good for themselves, or trying to be vindicated in the light, and that isn't right. One villain from the Like a Dragon series that encapsulates this concept is Ryo Aoki from the 7th mainline game, and his name isn't even Ryo Aoki. Join me today as I take a look at this villain in my commentary style, and be warned, there's a bunch of spoilers ahead for numerous Like a Dragon titles. So sit back, relax, and listen to the only American Yakuza YouTuber talk about another bad guy in the series. Enjoy. Ryo Aoki, aka Masato Arakara. He's a villain that slowly seeps his way back into the plot of Yakuza 7 after disappearing for a couple chapters as we get to know Lord Shrub, aka Ichiban, and his new friends. And my spiel about confusion earlier ties into the whole Bleach Japan activist group, as they're a group full of younger people trying to supposedly do good by bleaching out the dark spots of Japan's society. And that mostly entails the underworld or seedy red light district areas, or even immigrants. Hence how they come into confrontation with Ichiban as he's working at a soap land at the time in Yokohama. Bleach Japan may seem like some new world building at first, as they indeed come across as stand-ins for the 1 million activist groups going on today. However, what I find interesting in retrospect is how they're the force that allows us, the player, to feel Ryo Aoki's presence before his proper reveal. It's a way for Ichiban to counteract his young master Masato Arakara as the fish out of water in 2019. As Ichiban's getting back on his feet after being confused by old man Masumi Arakara shooting him just enough to let him live, the lingering malevolent force in the background is Aoki's Bleach Japan group that he co-founded years ago with Hajime Ogasawara. An organization like this really feels like it's everywhere in our current world thanks to the internet giving them almost unlimited ways to reach everyone. And the scarier part is how they were able to return in Yakuza 8 with the new antagonist of that game, where we get to see further how the internet can really screw over people just trying to live their lives. Bleach Japan also shows that people who are either confused or easy to be tempted with having moral power can keep the fight of their creators going after their death. Hence how they're able to return in Yakuza 8. It's an organization that's able to recruit people wanting change in society, but people's own self-righteousness and the desire to be the good guys, quote-unquote, is a tale as old as time. For me, here at Tiger Drop Films, it's a story that dives into politics and we, the audience, can relate it to current ongoing issues we see on the news. But I also just see this Bleach Japan political activist group as a backdrop for the ideas I mentioned earlier. It's a vessel that is able to tie into the real world as much as it does the classic operatic storytelling idea of people being corrupted into thinking they're the good guys. And if you ask me, that's a terrifying concept. Sure, we've had political battles throughout pretty much all of humanity's history in different ways, and the 2020s we're in right now are certainly a beast of their own, but the fact that a certain group of people can believe they're doing the right thing by hurting random people trying to survive is as sad as it is angering. And we see how it affects Ichiban and his team at the soapland. Or if I had to describe it another way, it's using politics as the shield to let out their own personal demons and weird mixes of hate and vindication. And much like with the rest of Yakuza antagonists, They're just unhappy figureheads in control of random organizations, and these organizations happen to have power. Whether that be the Yakuza clans themselves, the police, secret government operations, triads, political groups, or people working in healthcare, the list goes on, but there's a commonality in all of them. In these games, it's not so much as the organization as it is the people in control, and much like real life, that's where the conflict begins and therefore causes the plots of the Yakuza games. These plots have always had political groups involved, like in 1 or 3, or sometimes showing that law enforcement is corrupt, like in 2, 4, or here in 7. It's more fascinating to show different people working in different organizations, and how heroes and villains can arise from the most unlikely of places. And now, enter Ryo Aoki, whose entire character can be summed up as living in the facade of his new identity. Like I mentioned earlier, he's actually Masato Arakawa, whose life parallels Ichiban's from the moment they were born. It's one of the craziest plot twists in the series, and that's coming from the same game that has Mirror Face. And the backstory of the coin locker baby reveal pays off with heartbreaking emotional damage in the final moments between Ichiban and Masato. But hey, let's back up. Masato's Ryo Aoki, governor of Tokyo, candidate persona, was the biggest Yakuza bad guy at the time, in terms of scale, and the position of the guy you have to punch in the campaign. I mean, he was running to be governor of Tokyo. And let me tell you, it was satisfying as hell to punch Arakawa as Ichiban. You can truly feel the weight behind each punch, even if the finishing moves end up being easy, quick-time events. With that being said, I love how with gameplay, RGG is able to tell a story. I like that it reminds us how much of the story has to be told through a game's, gameplay. It's vital to the story. It's what makes it different from a film or TV show at the end of the day. In Yakuza 7, if Tendo was a strategic boss fight that tested what Ichiban can do with the power of friendship and being a genuine human, then the dual boss battles of Ryo Aoki and Masato Arakawa show the sheer difference between a man and the identity he wants. Arakawa's years of being bound to a wheelchair is exemplified by his desire to take illegal medication if it means being able to walk. That opening level around New Year's time shows everything you need to know about Arakawa. He's driven to stand like everyone else, metaphorically as he wants to physically. It was clear here that he wanted to be completely above everyone. He was sick of being sick and needing the help of others. His relationship with his own father, Masumi, is strained, and Masato's advances with that cabaret girl turn out to be for nothing since she's already in cahoots with Juro Hunorichi. And hey, look at this guy. I got a whole video about Hunorichi and the cops of Yakuza, plus many more videos you will enjoy. They're waiting for you. Back to the video. Years later, Arakawa would become Ryo Aoki and utilize Hunorichi to implement the Kamurocho 3K plan. I can tell that Aoki didn't forget what Hunorichi did to him years earlier in the club, so I'm sure he wanted him by his side just so he could blackmail him and eventually throw him under the bus. And in that 1999 era of the story, back then, we later learned that the reason Ichiban had to take the fall to jail was because Masato Arakawa killed a Yakuza grunt that was harassing him. This single choice was the reason Ichiban's life had to change for the worse. All the while, Masato would later go on to America to undergo an experimental surgery and return as Ryo Aoki, and start his new career by founding Bleach Japan. So the parallels between Masato and Ichiban continue to increase as the story progresses. It shows that the two really are interlocked in their destinies, and the sheer terrifying world that Masato was adding fire to and melding, coupled with the completely different worldviews he developed, make him such a dramatic foil to Ichiban. And that's what I see as the central core of Yakuza 7's story and themes. Masato Arakawa is the kind of antagonist that is too real, and the story gives him some more depth than just being the evil politician bad guy. Yeah, he is the bad guy, but the path he took was completely his own fault, as he reacted with the very cold nature and hatred that he believed he was fighting against. He's completely vile and hateable, and feels unstoppable within the realm of influence he's created, which makes him a proper villain for our heroes to battle. His own worst thoughts manifested as the dark actions he took, which ended up making life worse for everyone involved. From all the random people in Japan, as we see his policies getting put into play, as well as how he's able to use the Yakuza and police through his own doings of Bleach Japan. He misled his followers for almost 20 years, which became a powder keg waiting to explode as much as it would implode. He had dealings with the police, Yakuza, and Japanese government like he did with his own Bleach Japan. While playing as Ichiban, it begins to feel like Arakawa's influence is everywhere, and it truly feels like you're playing as a hero thrown into a new, dangerous, uncharted world overseen by a dark lord in the castle. And I gotta say, that seems to be the path for Ichiban's final bosses. In infinite wealth, he fights another supreme dark lord with an even further reach in the form of Bryce Fairchild, all the while battling Eiji Midamura, who is a deliberate plant to remind Ichiban of how he wasn't able to save Masato. Unlike Kiryu, Ichiban's final bosses probably won't end in a battle between Irazumis. Instead, it's the battle of the genuine hero who is dumb enough to love others and hold it in his heart to let go and forgive. And if you ask me, that means he's actually smart. Ichiban is smart enough to go above hating others and instead understand them. That's the beauty of having this hero who won't give up against terrifying villains who, when everything's thrown back into their face, the villains decide to give up. It shows that creating an army like Bleach Japan and controlling others won't get you anywhere, and instead karma will bite you back. That's why when Kume stabs Masato, right when he's about to hopefully change, it's heartbreaking. It's too late. Now, people can hopefully change. However, in this case, Masato's reign as Ryo Aoki the past 2 decades led to his own followers and creations killing him. Bad karma returned. It's a tragic ending that ends in Ichiban's theme song being played over the end credits. It's that perfect juxtaposition that shows why it's important to be more like Ichiban rather than Arakawa or Bleach Japan. The world is confusing, but we don't have to make it more confusing by misleading others. Instead, I'd say it's better to simply be a friend, even if it can be incredibly hard to master. I'm still trying to be a better friend myself. Then there's Yakuza 8, where all the things I've talked about in this video reappear in a new light. A light against the darkness, if you will. One of the big highlights for Ichiban's character in Yakuza 8 was his unrelenting passion to help others becoming even more powerful, as this time he was able to save Masato Arakawa. It was not directly as he died in the last game, but spiritually, Ichiban was able to save Arakawa. Both Masato Arakawa and their shared father, Masumi Arakawa. Ichiban is able to let the past rest with Masumi's old love, Akane, while at the same time preventing Masato from dying again by saving Eiji. This scene where Ichiban saves Eiji by finally getting through to him and personally walking him to the station was wonderful. It's what he wasn't able to do in that last game due to Bleach Japan. But this time Ichiban can save a guy who was also hurt by Bleach Japan's influence. And he does, even from it going through an enormous crowd of haters. It's emotionally moving. And it's a little bit of what we all need. A little love, care, and human connection. Ichiban is like the Christmas spirit, but every day of the week, all year long. I think that for all the people that have hurt others because they were hurt themselves, we need a few more Ichibans to look past and through all the confusion and see that somehow the power of love and friendship is still a real thing. And a little more of that real thing sounds good to me. Thank you guys for watching. I greatly appreciate all views and engagement. Let me know what you thought of these ideas and characters. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, I've been Tiger Drop Films, and I'll see ya in the future. Take care.
で行きゃあとは上しか行く道がねえ。どん底から見える景色ってな、真っ暗じゃねえ。地に足つけて上を見上げりゃ希望で輝いてんだ。あんたの言う通りですよ、若。